So Tim Russert asked him if he would consider switching parties, if he would become a Republican. Of course, it's a question that we've put to his spokesman, Dan Gerstein, a number of times. Russert said, if they asked for discipline in the Democratic caucus, would you consider switching the aisle, joining the Republicans, if they gave you the same chairmanship and respect for your seniority? And Lieberman said, that's a hypothetical I'm not going to deal with now. I'm going to be an optimist, take some encouragement from the fact that this was an election in which, in the House and Senate, Democrats came to the majority of both chambers by electing moderates mostly. This was an election that might be called the return of the center in American politics. I think my colleagues and leaders in the Democratic caucus get this. And then he said his line about this was not a major realignment. And of course, it's nothing. Barely, I don't even know why we even need. Why don't we just go back? Since it was so small, let's just keep the same Congress. That's what I would
People of Connecticut, the voters of Connecticut, have made a drastic and major mistake. And it's one that's possibly ruinous to the Democratic Party. It's, why did you let this guy, this snake, back in Congress, back in the Senate? He's not a look at what his answer is. That's a hypothetical question. I'm not gonna, wait a minute. You said during the whole campaign, you liar, that you were going to caucus with the Democrats, no ands, ifs, or buts. Now you're saying, well, that's a hypothetical question, and I hope my Democratic colleagues don't force me into that, meaning you're going to have to give me everything I want, and you're going to have to kowtow to my Republican neocon point of view. If you don't, I'm going to the Republican side. Why did you let the snake back into the Senate? I mean, that is the worst kind of answer. Isn't that saying, I will hold the whole Democratic Party hostage, and if you don't do exactly what I say and what my neocon friends say, then the Senate goes back to the Republicans. God, Connecticut, you screwed us over so bad. I got to say, the people in Connecticut, they got tricked big time. And I mean, I guess I'm struggling with all my might not to call you stupid, okay? But look at what you did. You gave all the power to that controls the whole Senate to the most conservative Democrat in the whole country. I think he's more conservative than Ben Nelson. And, and that's being polite. I mean, that's being kind. There's an excellent case to be made that he's a Republican. There's an excellent case to be made that he's more conservative than a lot of the Republicans. He's a neocon. A lot of the Republicans think the neocons are crazy. They're crazy to the right. And Joe Lieberman was one of them. Why would you give all the power in the Senate to the one guy who could switch it to the Republican or Democratic side, who's an actual neocon? The people of Connecticut, you hose the whole country.